and the laws. That God was giving to his people. Children of Israel had wandered around in the wilderness for 40 years. And now God was blessing them to go into the promised land. And before they entered the promised land, he was telling them the do's and the don'ts. He was letting them know that when you get into the promised land, I don't want you to start acting like those folk that are already there. In other words, he was saying to them, I don't want you acting one way on this day and acting another way on this day and being another way on another day.
All right.
God was saying, this is the way that I want you to be all of the time.
All right.
For he found out that even in the world today, there are folk that have in mind that they can be how they want to be when they want to be. They can role play. That's what you call role playing. Actors, they role play. And God says that this Christian walk of life is not a role play. He says that it is a serious business. And he says this to them so that they can teach it to their children. He says the first thing of all things is you are to love God with all of your heart, with all your mind, with all your strength, with all of your soul. You are to love God. It is a sincere thing that you are to do. He says it needs to be in your heart, which means that it ought to be sincerely in your heart at all times. There ought not be a time in our lives when we act like we're Christians, and a time in our lives when we act like we don't even know the Lord. He says it ought to be in our hearts, and we ought to be sincere about it, and there ought not be no role playing. I found out that we live in a modern life now, and this modern life is custom made for role playing. It's custom made for role playing. You see, we live in neighborhoods all over this land, and we live close to neighbors, and yet even our neighbors don't really know who we are because we are role playing. We're acting like Christians on Sunday, and then any other kind of way throughout the week. And society has it that way. But God is telling us that as believers, as children of God, we are to refuse to role play.
Yeah.
We're to refuse it. You see, I found out we commune to church miles away. We walk in and out, never getting to know and never getting involved or even in service. We're just role playing. We work with one crowd and we play with another. You'll get that on your way home. The opportunities for undercover activities are almost limited. In other words, we can be who we want to be outside of the church. I mean, there's no limit. The world has so much to offer that we can go undercover at any time. They call them undercover Christians. I found out since no one knows us in any other context, we can reinvent ourselves in each one. I've discovered that somebody said that our lives is like a chest of drawers. We have a separate one for each interest. We have a separate one for each value. We have a separate one for each pastime. We have one for work, one for play, one for church, one for other activities. For each we have a separate set of values and a different language. You know, we don't value our Christian lives much. Why should we? We can role play. We can role play at any time, but God says that that's not the way I would have my children to be. And then he puts it upon the adults to teach their children how to serve God, how to live a Christian life, how to be the same way all the time as God would have you to be. But I'm so saddened that our children are having a hard time. Because they really don't know how to be by our example. Because they see us, we go to church. They see us, we pray. They see us, we sing. They see us, we clap our hands. But when we're not at church, what do they really see? I can imagine they say Mom and Dad are good role players. Because when I see them on Sunday, they're holier than thou.
All right.
And then when I see them during the week, it's a whole new scene. For I see them, when they get angry, they're cussing me out. But yet I see them, when they get angry, they're able to cuss others out. And I can just see Mom and Daddy role playing. Someone has said for each we have a separate set of values and a different language. With each new situation, we add another drawer to ensure complete appropriateness and safety, rather than having a oneness about us, a integrity of character. We rather role play. God said, this is not the way I would have you to be. So we have to learn that role playing is not in our character when it comes to living a Christian life. We can't act just any kind of way. We can't carry ourselves any kind of way. We can't talk any kind of way. We can't do what we want to do when we want to do it and still come in connection with God and say that we are on the Lord's side.
All right.
One of God's prophets said, you can't be straddling the fence. You're either on the Lord's side or you're on Satan's side.
That's the word.
And then he added that you can't be lukewarm.
Yeah.
God says that we need to be hot or cold.
Yeah.
But you can't be lukewarm. You can't be straddling the fence. He says if you're going to be on my side, be on my side. But if you're not going to be on my side, don't role play and act like you're on my side. He said, for those folk, I'll spew them out of my mouth. Can't say you with God and then act like you don't know the Lord. He says, we don't have the oneness that we need to have. He said, we don't have the integrity of character that we need to have. But I want to let you in on a secret. It does not matter how you role play. It does not matter how many chest draws that you have. God doesn't see us as a chest of drawers. He don't see us as a collection of separate performances. God sees us as a whole person. He wants us to give to him all in all. Who we are when no one is looking at us is just the same to him as who we are when we're standing in plain view of everybody. So what he's saying is you can't hide it from God. God sees you wherever you are and whatever you are doing. God sees you as a whole person. And he has an exception for us. He has an expectation out of us. And he says to us, we need to refuse to role play.
Yes, Lord.
You see, God made us with one mind. He made us with one will.
Help us, Lord.
He made us with one heart and one spirit. We've been fooled by Satan. Satan lied to us thinking that we can have it both ways.
Come on. Help us, Lord.
Satan has put blinded on us to make us think that we can role play and there's nothing wrong with it. But I found out that when you role play, it leaves us with mental and emotional fragments of life. Worst of all, it makes us distant from God. So somebody says, what is the answer? And many of us are asking the question today, what is the answer? If we can't role play like everybody else is
Help us,
doing.
Lord.
If we can't act on our feelings, if we can't move on our emotions, then what is the answer? Well, I'm glad that you asked. The Bible said, love the Lord your God. If you are found loving God with all of your heart, if you're found loving the Lord with all your heart and all of your soul,
yes, Lord.
if you are involved in loving God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul and strength, then you won't have time to role play.
Come on.
In other words, the Lord says, if you put your heart in it, you won't have time to act a fool.
Help us, Lord.
It says, if you be sincere about loving me, then you won't be slack on your service to the Lord. You'll stop role playing and you'll really get involved in loving the Lord. I don't know about you, but I had to learn to love God. There were times in my life that I tried to be straddling the fence.
Come on.
There were some times in my life where I thought I could separate the two. I could be holier than thou on Sunday. And then on Friday, I could hang out in the club on Friday. On Saturdays, I could get drunk and do my own thing. Not only that, I found out trying to be two people just wouldn't work in life. I found out I was cutting myself short. I found out I was messing up my blessings. I found out trouble came quicker than I wanted to. I'm so glad I found out role playing just ain't enough. Role playing get you in trouble. Role playing will cause you to have some heartaches in life. Role playing will cause some trouble to come in your way. I found out if you're gonna do this God thing, you got to have a made up mind and a sincere heart. I found out Satan, he wants you to role play. He wants you to do what you do on Sunday and do what he wants you to do the rest of the week. But I found out when you get in trouble, Satan gonna leave you in trouble. I found out if he can dig a ditch for you, he'll lead you right to it. I found out you can't play around with God. You got to give God your all in all. I know I'm not by myself. There's still some folk trying to role play. They think they're fooling God, but God is on top of it. And I know he is because I can see in some of those folk lives when they're role playing. I heard somebody say, trouble always coming my way. It seems like the more I role play, the more trouble I have. It seems like the more I me to do. The more I get in trouble on my own accord. So I want to tell you, Red Life, you ought to refuse to role play. You ought to refuse to participate in role play. What you talking about, Pastor? Well, role playing is setting up in church, rolling your eyes at somebody else. You're just role playing. Role playing is talking about somebody behind their back. You're just role playing. Role playing is lying when you don't have to lie. Tell the truth. Won't get you in trouble. Role playing is walking by your sister and your brother and you can't say hello. Have you ever role played? Don't fool me now. Tell the truth. Have you ever role played? The Lord don't like role playing. He can't stand it. He wants you to be truthful and serve with all your heart. That means loving your sister and your brother, regardless to your differences.
Yes, Lord.
You ought to love them with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. Then you'll be able to hear the Lord when He says, servant,
Well done.
well done. Well done, thou good and faithful servant. You kept the faith. You run the race. You stood the test. Well done.
Well done.
Well done. Well done. I know you want to hear Him say well done. And if you want to hear Him, stop role playing.
Amen.
Go to the church